guys, Justin with Ready Business Systems here. This is going to be the third video on how to transition from Service Autopilot to Copilot. So at the moment, I'm still looking into the software. I'm not convinced we're switching yet, but I'm going to continue to move forward in that direction. So far, we've run across issues with importing our clients into the system. We had an error message with the crew setup, so I'll look into that. And I'm also going to set up our packages, because one thing that we're not able to import here is our packages. So we're able to import all the services just fine here, but our packages we have to manually do. So I'm not going to obviously create them all now because it's going to be time consuming. I'll create one package just to work with for now. As far as importing the clients and leads go, I feel confident that this will work for us, that I'll be able to get those imported. So we do have some clients in here, but I'm not going to bother putting in the time and effort required to get the entire client list in here. I guess right now we have 40. That must be the limit until I know we're going to use the system. If I get to a point in the testing that I need more clients to work with, then I'll import more. But again, I'm not going to put in all that time and effort getting all this stuff fully set up until I know we're using it. So moving forward, it does appear that although I got the error message on the last video when I was trying to create a crew, it does look like it actually created the crew. So I was actually getting an error message of death that you do see in other software, and apparently Copilot is not immune to those error messages either. But it did give the error message, but at the end of the day, the crew was still created. So it looks like we have the green crew in here 3 times. So I'm going to go and I'm just going to change this. So we have a few crews to work with here. I'm going to name this one red. Apparently I need to put more crew members in the system because there's only one. So I'm just still doing some basic setup stuff here just to make the system usable, because we're not going to be able to use it until we have some items in here. So we have green, red, and then we'll make a blue crew as well. The next thing I'm going to do, because I got to get some clients in here, we got the crews in here, I guess I'll have to set up some employees as well. So I guess I'll set that up. And then we also have to set up the packages. So that's what I was going to focus on getting done on this video. And I'm also, just because we have the crews and we have just myself on here, I'm going to put in a few more sample employees in here. So we just have myself here. So I'm going to add a couple more just so we can experiment a little more in the software in this way. So I'm going to go to this top menu here, new. I'm going to put a new employee here. And I'm going to go here and type in some information. All right, so I threw some information here. Title is going to be crew foreman, first name crew, last name foreman 1. Birth date, I don't think it's going to matter for anything. Hourly compensation, put in a reasonable salary in there. Budget hours per day, per week. It looks like this is for office employees. I omitted the email because typically our foremen don't have email, so we're not going to use that functionality. I did put in a cell phone though in case we want to use the text message ability here. Login access, I don't know what we're going to need this for. I don't know if this costs additional to have additional users, so we'll look into that later. But it looks like we can enable or disable login. Let's enable a login in case we want to experiment with it for something. You know what? Because this requires all this information. This may be for, it almost looks like it's for office employees that will be using the desktop. So this is kind of the user roles and rights. So we could go over here, we could reference that. If we go under settings and we go to user roles and rights, this is where this area would be in Service Autopilot right here, user roles and rights. In Service Autopilot, it's very complicated and confusing what actually controls what, because there's just so many user roles and rights here for the options. And I don't know, so there's multiple pages here, lots of user roles and rights. So I'm not sure, what that looks like inside of Copilot, wherever I was. But it looks like a shorter list, so that is nice. Edit and create, delete. Okay, so yeah, this is just permissions for the employees if they do have a login. So for now, for simplicity, I'm going to disable this. If we decide we want to come back and add more, we're going to. I just want to be able to add some crew members here. Okay, there we go. It's $15 per user login. So again, this is pretty typical in the CRM software business to charge per user. So that makes sense. I don't know. I know in Service Autopilot, you have to pay for each person who's a foreman, because they need to be able to access the app and what have you, but the employees beneath them you don't need to pay for. For me personally, the cost isn't super important for the software, because in the big scheme of things, software is not a huge item on your P&L for your business, and it's such a core service, such a core necessity for your business that, if this is making your company efficient, then what's $500 a month? If that's saving, think about in terms of employees' wages, how much frustration that your office and your foreman, there's a lot of waste there that can be had with poor software. So unless the software ended up being thousands and thousands of dollars per month, I probably wouldn't be too concerned, as long as it saved me a bunch of money in labor. That's kind of where my head's at here. Cool. So we got a couple. One of them doesn't have a login. I have a login. That'll probably be enough to get us started here in terms of employees. So next, we have to set up the packages. So here's the SA packages, and I'll take off this user roles and rights for reference. And then here we have the packages, which for here, it's under items and services, and there's a tab over here that says packages. Kind of makes more sense. Inside of Service Autopilot, you got two different settings. One is for packages and one is for services. So they're just they are kind of on a top heading here, but I do like their organization better so far in Copilot versus Service Autopilot. I'll give them that. So we got services and we got packages, and there's a couple different packages too. There's like these master packages, master custom. So, it's kind of simpler here in that we have just different tabs. Their organization structure I am liking so far. And I am excited, without going off track, with this trucks and equipment. There's a functionality in Service Autopilot, but it is not good. I'll give you that. It's very basic, hasn't been updated in years. And one other thing while I'm off topic, but I'll go right back to those packages, is that I wanted to point out here, because I don't think I went over this. I actually this is the second recording of this video, because I actually showed some clients' information, so I couldn't put that on YouTube. But right here, this automation, so one of my concerns was that the automations you can adjust on the client level, that you wouldn't be able to do them on a high level as well, but you can. So, and I apologize if I already mentioned this in the video, but I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. So the automations, you can add to clients' accounts to every account on a high level. So that's what I was confirming here. Or you can add it, you can enable them on the client's account page specifically if you need to individually. So that's important. One thing I'm doing here with these chats is I'm really just testing out their customer service, because I want to pretend and act like I'm actually using the software, because if you don't have support, that's huge. You really need to have support with software, because you're going to run into problems. So I'm testing it out to see how responsive they are, how helpful they are. And, that could be a game changer. If the software is not perfect, but you have great support, then that's okay. But if software is not perfect and you have bad support, I'm not interested, because you just can't do certain things. So anyway, back to the packages. So I have not done this before, just to give you a heads up. So I'm going to try it live, like I said. So click new items, package name. So let's start with, let's do spring cleanup. We use these a lot. So I'm going to open this up and see what's listed inside of here. And this one's going to be named spring cleanup, right? This is one of our very basic packages. Add line item. Okay, so cleanup. So this is pulling from our services list, which we already have set up here. So spring cleanup, we have renewal and square foot. Okay, so let's try renewal. This for us, by the way, it's a matter of how it's bid. So renewal is based off the number of hours, because at the end of the day, you pay your employees hourly, and that's how we produce our work, hourly as well. If we paid our employees by a square foot, then we'd be more concerned about the square foot. But at the end of the day, we pay our employees hourly. So we want to make sure the hours are right. If we budget a certain amount of hours on a job, that we're getting them done that amount of hours. So the difference for us, the square footage price, just based on how we bid that item. So square footage is an estimate. We estimate that a certain amount of square footage is going to be a certain amount of time. Renewal is for clients who have already had a spring cleanup done before, and we know how long it takes, and now we're going to bid it by hours. So it takes 3 hours, for example, then we're going to charge them for 3 hours. All right, so spring cleanup. So look at the master package list. It looks like we have different services listed in here, right? So just to explain this to you too, we have our disposal fee, none, and we also have a disposal fee. So this depends on, this is a package, so you can, in Service Autopilot, we can put in which services we want to bid So if we want to dispose of the debris at the property, we're going to check that one off. If we want to not dispose of it and we're going to put it to the woods on the property or designated area, we're going to select that. So that way the crew knows which to do, if they're going to dispose of the debris, of the leaves, etc., the sticks, or if they're going to leave them on the property. So that's why we have these two different items, so we can communicate that to the crews, and one has a charge and one does not associated with it. Spring cleanup. Here we go. See, it says time data, so you know how long it takes. Renewal. We also have spring cleanup square footage. So this is when we're doing an estimate. That way, if it's a new client, we can bid by square footage. If it's an existing client, we can bid by the time to let them know how much that's going to cost. Free mow. This makes sure that if we don't get to the mow for whatever reason, the mower breaks down as a separate service, but we also ensure it gets completed. So the mow is not, it doesn't cost them anything, because then people ask for a discount if it's not mowed. But it is a dispatchable service, so that way we can dispatch that separately if need be, to get that lawn mowed separately by another crew or another visit. So just wanted to explain it to you as we set this up. So we've got a spring cleanup renewal. So let's also add in a spring cleanup. It's not the end of the world either. Like, you have to reset this stuff up. It's not great starting from scratch, clean slate, but it helps you kind of revise. It forces you to look at everything in your system and make sure that it makes sense, and kind of rebuild the way you do things and review everything. So we got the renewal, we got the spring cleanup square foot. Then we're also going to need the disposal, right? Oh, let's do the mowing. Let's do disposal in here. See, I can change around the order here because I noticed that one's a little bit out of order. So we got disposal fee none, and then we also got a disposal fee. Cool. And then we're going to add in the free mow. Mow free cleanup. Cool. Let's double check that's everything on here. Disposal fee none. Dethatch is on there too. Okay. All right, I'll add it on there. The reason why we have this in here is to remind us to bid that service at the same time. Description. Let's see here. I'm going to try clicking on estimates, I guess, and I'll try taking this. Patching service is available for additional charge with your spring cleanup. Okay. So these services already have a description in them. So I guess this will be the, and good, it copies over the formatting. That's nice, right? And look at that, I found a typo. Additional. See, no spell check in here, You would think that, that's a pretty basic thing to have, right? I don't know if I still spelled that wrong. All right, so let's see what happens here. The thing I'm not seeing in here is some of the stuff that you see in the packages in Service Autopilot, as like renewal dates. And honestly, these packages are very sloppy to renew. A lot of things go wrong with them. They definitely need to be worked on. But here we have other options here. We have clients that are on the package. We have, so anyway, we got clients on the package, and we have the services included, which we do have here. We also have estimate description, call script notes, never use that. Analysis, I don't even, honestly, it's probably in the report center somewhere. And we have an audit trail. So let's try saving this, see what happens. Okay, so I got a package in here. I think that's sufficient for now to get things going in terms of the packages. If I need more than one, I will address that. That's what's not in here is dates. So I'm interested to see how they're going to address this. So in Service Autopilot, these are the dates for our waiting list, which is here. It shows you the jobs that are waiting to get done that just have a window of time. So we set ours for our spring cleanup. It's going to be done anytime throughout the year, because sometimes we do them in the summer, but it's going to be done before the fall cleanup, which we do in starting in November. So that's why that's on there. So it's really a, I guess, pre-fall cleanup, if you wanted to call it that, rather than a spring cleanup. But anyway, this saves clutter, basically. So you go to your waiting list, you don't need to look at this. Typically, this isn't typical. So say this is a fertilizing application. This is a bad example. But they have, say, a month window here that you want to get it done. So you don't need to be looking at app 5 for your fertilizing when you're doing app 1. It's just going to be clutter. You don't need to think about that until you get towards those dates. So these are just on here. When you get to fall cleanup, these won't show up once you go past November 1st, but it saves clutter. And that is a nice feature I like. So I'm just curious how this is going to be addressed here, because this is a different place for the dates. It doesn't really have anywhere where it needs to be done. So I'm wondering if this is like Jobber, because I know in Jobber they don't have a clean way to do this. You have to do it on each individual account, but I'm starting to wonder if we need to do this on each individual account and set those dates, which isn't really great. All right, so now that we've got a couple services set up, this is our shop location here, and we have a couple employees set up, we have a couple teams set up, we have packages and services. So I should be able to, I'm on the client screen here, I should be able to schedule a service for this client, right? Because right now none of our clients have any services, and we already know that we're going to have to manually do this for every client, which is a real bummer, but we can get that done. It's time consuming. That's all there is. Getting this stuff imported. I'm trying not to waste too much time. But at the end of the day, if you really want to make this transition, it is a huge time and cost investment here. Because I could do it myself. I'm not going to. I could have someone else do it. That's going to cost money. To get all of these jobs scheduled. So yeah, that's a lot of work. So I'm also looking here. I just asked a question because I noticed they do have an area where you can attach documents, just like in the clients and Service Autopilot. So I'm just asking over here the attachments to accounts. Is this something else we're going to have to also manually copy over? Something I ran into here in the client portal, which I thought was really cool, is, in the client page, is you can set, it's more customizable. Like Service Autopilot didn't have this on the client level. So, and I'm really hoping, I'm also making the assumption at this point that there are defaults, right, for the company. So you can actually customize different clients. So late fees, for example, no rules, company default. Okay, so we can set up apparently in our settings the default late fees, right? Which late fees doesn't even exist in Service Autopilot. What I used to do is do it in QuickBooks and then sync those over, but now we just don't do it because it was too much of a hassle to do that. And everyone's on auto pay anyway, so it's not really an issue. But it looks like you can also not only set it up company-wide for these late fees, but you can also do it for an individual client level. And then we also have, auto sending invoices. There's a lot of customizable things here that weren't customizable on the individual client level like they are here. This one is about the client portal, deposit threshold. So again, to require a deposit. So maybe this is a good customer, existing customer. You don't need a deposit on the job. Maybe you have a policy that, they haven't had a late fee in a certain amount of months. They're now exempt from required deposits. So you could technically do that in Service Autopilot. You could create a separate estimate document and then write it up, not requiring it. But it's kind of nice. You can set the policy on the individual clients right here. But anyway, the whole point of being in here is we're going to try to schedule a job, right? And later on, we'll have to connect, set up the finances here. We do already have a PayPal account, so it's easy to get that set up. So I'm going to do new, and I'm going to do, that's not where I want to be. Create new here, so second menu beneath it, and I'm going to do a new visit. And again, I'm doing this live. I've never done this before, so let's see what happens. Visit title, no property assigned. Okay, billing level, notes, add item, add package. Okay, services. So I am creating a new visit. All right. So I'll try calling this lawn mowing. I don't know exactly how this works. Let's see what happens. It's a little bit different layout here. Link this visit to a level agreement. Doesn't apply. Color is the job color. Okay. Property location. No properties assigned to this. Okay. I guess we'll want to assign the property to it, right? Customer. So this is kind of this is like the different levels. I think these are to address, that was a little confusing on the import as well. There was a customer and a property. So those are different, in their system, those are different things. So a customer is associated with, a property is associated with a customer. So a customer can have multiple properties essentially, but they're in two different databases as I understand. So let's go in here. We're going to put in mowing. Okay, let's try lawn. Lawn add-on. Okay, so let's try weekly. Let's try to find our mowing service in here. There we go. So let's try mow weekly square foot. And something big, I don't believe they have rate matrices in here yet. So we're not going to be able to price off of that. Supposedly it's something that's coming. Yeah, so I'm just looking at my original notes here with Copilot, and things they admittedly had here was still working on these estimates and weaknesses. They're behind on job costing, pricing, reporting. So I don't believe that they do have this option here for putting in a rate matrix here. So that's unfortunate. So again, looking at the good with the bad, but I think they do intend on getting that in here. And I think a lot of this is just based on your faith in the company, right? Because if you buy now and they don't end up doing it, well, you don't have a rate matrix, right? So, having faith, they're going to do what they say. So, all right, so continue forward. We got a weekly Mo. That's typically all we have with that service. So service type is going to be recurring or series. All right, so this is something I'm not loving right now. This is more like Jobber. So for us, you can just set a schedule, right? In Service Autopilot, what I do like is they have master schedules. And I don't know if that's a thing here. Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to ask them. Do you have master schedules, or is this something that you have to set individually? Have to create one at a time on each account. So that's something I want to know, because this is time consuming, right? This isn't very straightforward if you have to do this each time. But inside Service Autopilot here, we got master schedules, right? So we got master schedules in here. You set it up once and it's on a company level, we'll call it, because we're running across this in multiple places. So like I was talking about, those automations you can do on a company level that run on everything, and then you can also do it on the client level. Well, here, the schedules are done. You can do it both in Autopilot, but I think it's easier to do it I think it's easier the way they have it set up here, because it doesn't look like they have a company level way to set these schedules. So we define these once, what a weekly Monday schedule looks like. We select the days of the week on the calendar here. It doesn't take long. You do it once a year, and that is a feature that works well, right? So if I go back over here, I have to do this. I mean, if I could do this once and apply to everyone, it'd be great, but it's looking like this has to be done because I don't have a drop down anywhere. I haven't seen it anywhere yet that I can manually, or how I can set up a company level schedule. So anyway, let's go through with this. So we got a recurring series. We're gonna do it weekly, right? And this client, let's say it's Monday, weekly on Monday. Okay, this is cool. Visit every week. So it's gonna be every 1 week. Again, this shouldn't have to be done on every time you schedule a visit on every client page. So start date, cool. I can show you this looks like an Autopilot. I don't think it's necessary, but there is a way to set the start date. So this client may call, obviously today's November 1st, 23, but maybe they don't want to start till next week. It says start date till next week, right? Time. No, we don't want to do that, right? Visit 1 hour. Pause during off season. That's cool. Okay. Select off season. Add seasons. This looks like maybe a high level, company level thing here. Let's say winter, right? Start month and day. So we typically we cut grass, let's say, through, we cut it through the 10th. End month day. So we're going to start cutting the grass again, April 1, something like that. Add season. Pause during off season, winter. I like that. I like how it just says winter. You can see details if you want to. Visit 1 hours. This off season is now set for undefined to undefined. Okay, I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but that's not very helpful. Visit 1 hours. That doesn't appear to be able to change. Okay, maybe that's the budget hours. I don't know. No crews assigned. Cool, we got crews now. Let's say it's going to be red. Oh, I didn't set the employees on the crews. Okay, so I'll have to do that later. And this is the same as Autopilot here. We got settings. We got team, and we have teams, and we have employees. And you have to go into the teams and define which employees are on that team. So it's the same thing here. All right, so we got the red crew, which is automatically adding the employees associated with that, photos. Okay, that's kind of cool. So I'm assuming that these are going to be photos that they're going to be able to access from the app, specifically related to mowing. I don't know, but I'm making that assumption there. Notes for this visit. So we would go inside of, I should really be showing you guys a test account or something here. Let's go test 2. This is fine. And we're going to end up pulling up our test account here. This is a scheduling a job. We have weekly, same thing, start date, team assigned to it. So a lot of it's the same. We would just pull this out from under notes. So we have job notes for each job, and that's where we'd put that in here. We'd copy and paste that over. Again, this is going to have to all be done manually here because we don't have any, so I'll put test notes, right? Reset custom, remove custom, add custom. I don't know what that does. All right, this isn't super clear, but add events jobs. We'll have to get into that later. Seems like a detail. Notes for this visit, and you can create a custom note. And this may be to mimic the feature in Autopilot that shows the different where you want to associate this note to, because you can associate it to that visit, to that job, to the account. So you can show, because for example, the notes for here might be like only cut the lawn until the 5 feet off the stone wall as an example, but maybe that doesn't apply for the cleanup or the fertilizing. So you can decide where you want those notes visible. All right, this is kind of cool. It's visualizing your settings here. So with your current setting, the first event will be November 6th because it's Mondays, right? Last event will be November 27th, 23. That doesn't seem right because I think we set it to November 10th, right? Start date, hours, undefined to undefined. I don't know if that's messed up. Let's try saving this, unless it's already saved on its own. Previous notes. Okay, this is where you can pull other notes from. Invoiceable. Okay, so maybe this is saving on its own. I'm not seeing a place to save, cancel, or create visit. Okay, create visit is just grayed out for some reason. All right, so we got this lawn mowing service, but this is not correct. See, it says right here, this recurring series will be paused on November. All this stuff's in my way. On November, well, sorry, this is the winter as we defined it, November 10th to April 1st. Great, but why does it say this is running till November 27th? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, right? I'm probably going to ask them about this too, because that doesn't make any sense to me, right? All right, so I just sent them this message about that problem and with a screenshot. So we'll review the answers to these questions on our next video here. All right, so we got this recurring job set up, and I'm also going to add this package. It's recurring. So let's add one more real quick. We're going to create new. I'm going to do a visit, right? And this is going to be, I'm going to call it SC, because if this is something I have to do all the time, I don't want to write spring cleanup every time. So let's try this. No property, we have to do this every time. It's looking like blah, blah, blah. So choose an item or service. So this is going to be add a package, right? This package is going to be right here, spring cleanup. Correct. Apply. All right, cool. So what that did is it added all the services here. Single visit. Pause during off season. So I don't like this. This is reminding me of the weaknesses of Jobber. And this is a pretty critical feature here. So again, this is part of having faith in the company. If you think they're going to add this feature, great. We need it. So what I'm saying is it seems like the recurring jobs are working great. But I'm not seeing, it looks like I'm going to have to add this every year. That's what it looks like to me. If we go to Autopilot here, just to show you how this is going to work. If I add a package, right, this is the same thing in an Autopilot, or select Spring Cleanup, right? And you have the option here, and that's why we name them auto renew, so we know a package renewal, we can set it to auto renew. So that means every year this is going to generate the job. And it's going to set it on the waiting list for these dates. I don't even know if they have a waiting list. I don't know how the scheduling works yet. I haven't gotten into that. But essentially their only option here is do not renew, right? So that means this job has been completed and it's going to be done. That's what I'm seeing here. So I don't like that because we use our waiting list. It's a very important feature for us. Single visit or recurring series or visits. Okay, so those are only options, right? So, I mean, that's all we got to work with here. Visit, I don't even know what this, I can't edit this. I don't know where that's coming from. I'm not super concerned about that now. Pause during off season. I mean, this is kind of not applicable because we just wouldn't do it during the off season. We'll try assigning a crew to it. Great. Photos, notes to this visit. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be added every year. I'm going to actually put a note here. Will I have to add, we'll have to manually schedule this package for each client every year. That's what it's looking like. It's looking like to me that I'm going to have to go in here every year, and someone is, and schedule this package on every single account manually until I do something about that. And that reminds me of Jobber in that way. All right, so I think we'll stop here. We got a couple services scheduled, so we'll resume from here. So it looks like we have a recurring mowing, and we have our one-time jobs, which is showing as empty. Didn't I just save that? Spring Cleanup Shop location, timeline. All right. Recurring one time. Property name, November 1st. I don't know where my spring cleanup went. I see my spring cleanup up here. Timeline. Visit. So where is my job list? Because I scheduled it as a one-time job list empty. All right, I'm going to ask him that too. Just trying to be smart with my time. I'm not going to bother trying to figure this out because I don't see it right away. So I'm just going to ask him where I can find this job. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully that was helpful, not too dragged out. So next video, I will dig a little more into the system, some of these basic features, see how scheduling works, maybe connect some of these payment methods, and we'll just keep marching forward. I'll catch you next time. Thanks.